Yo, how's it going? So we're gonna go ahead and begin our first section, our first unit. We're gonna be talking about how to solve a linear equation. Remember that solving a linear equation is the most important skill that you need to learn for Algebra 1 and for every other math after this. Okay, if you can do this, you're gonna be successful in this class. Okay, now. To be able to solve, you need to be able to do a few things. The first one, and this is not always the case, is simplifying. You might need to simplify the equation, you might not need to simplify the equation, and this is going to vary every time. Now, some of the skills that you're going to need to be able to simplify something is using the distributive property. If you remember, the distributive property is the one where you multiply the number outside or in front of a parentheses. Combining like terms is the one where you combine like terms. So for instance, if you have a 4x plus a 3x, they both have an x, so you are able to add them. So that's it for simplifying. In terms of the main three concepts, I like to refer as solving equations as those three main concepts. So if you are able to do those three things, you are good. You're set. You're good to go. So what are those three main concepts? The first one is making zeros. Okay? In order to solve equations, you need to be able to solve, or you need to be able to make zeros. Now, when it comes to making zeros, you gotta think of addition, and subtraction. Okay? You gotta be able to make zeros by adding or subtracting. Making ones. How do I make ones? You gotta be able to make ones by either multiplying or dividing. Okay? And then staying consistent on both sides. I'm pretty sure you kind of already guessed what that means. Alright? So I'm gonna go ahead and solve my linear equation. Number one, that is right there. So I got 4 times the quantity of 4x plus 4 plus 3 equals negative 45. Alright. So first thing I gotta look for is, do I need to simplify? And in this case, I can see that I have the distributive property, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I can distribute 4 to the first and then to the second. You gotta remember that you gotta do it to everything that is inside the parentheses. So when we distribute, we multiply. So I'm gonna have 4 times 4x, which is 16x, and then 4 times 4, which is 16, and it's positive. Alright, now all I gotta do is just bring down the rest of my stuff, which is plus 3 equals negative 45. Cool. Then let's check if I need to combine like terms. Well, I have a 16x, but then that's it. I do have a 16 and I do have a 3, which are like terms, which means I can combine them. So I'm gonna drop everything. So I have 16x. And now I have 16 plus 3, which is positive 19, equals negative 45. So far I have not solved anything. All I did was simplify. Okay? Now let's go ahead and use the three main concepts to solve the linear equation. Now, the one thing that I like to do is, I'm going to make a line through the middle so you're able to see which one is your left side and which one is your right side. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to make zeros. Okay, and remember, you got to do that by either adding or subtracting. Well, I see that there's a 19 right there. Okay, sorry about that. I see that right there. How can I make that 19 into a 0? Well, if I have positive 19, how do I make it a 0? Well, minus 19. So I'm going to go ahead and minus 19. And remember, we got to stay consistent on both sides of the equation. So if I'm subtracting 19 on the left side, I got to do it to the right side as well. So I'm going to subtract 19. All right. Let's go ahead and drop what we have left. I didn't do anything to that, so I'm just going to drop it. 16x. I got positive 19 minus 19. Well, that is going to be 0, okay, 0, equals negative 45 minus negative 19. So you gotta be careful here with the negatives, all right? You gotta be real careful with it. So negative 45 minus 19, you're pretty much adding them. So you're gonna end up with negative 64. Cool. All right, we're almost there. Cool. So now I got, I'm gonna get rid of that. So now I got 16x equals negative 64. Cool. The next thing for me to do is to make ones. I want to make a 1 because I want to make that 16x into a 1x. Okay, so how can I turn 16 into 1? All right, and remember, the reason I want to do that is because I want to get x by itself. So how do I make 16 into 1? By using multiplication or division. Well, if I divide 16 by itself, so 16 divided by 16, I could get a 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to divide 16 by 16. Remember, whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do it to the other. So I'm going to divide 16 to the other side. Cool. And let's see what we got. Well, 16 divided by 16 equals 1, right? So I got 1x equals, and then I got negative 64 divided by 16, which is negative divided by positive equals a negative, and 64 divided by 16 equals 4. Cool. So I got 1x equals negative 4, which is my answer right there. So that means that the solution to the equation is negative 4. Cool. Now, one last minute thing. When it comes to linear equations, there's one thing that we often don't really talk about, all right? Which is, what does that negative 4 mean? Well, that negative 4 means that when x is negative 4, those two equations equal each other. If I were to graph them, okay, if I were to graph those two functions, here's one right there, and here's one right there, where they equal each other, it's the point of intersection right there. Oop. You see that? So that negative 4 is a negative 4 right there, which means that at negative 4, those two lines equal each other. Okay? So the solution to an equation is just the intersection of both lines. All right? So that's